it's been 2 months since I built this wine cap mushroom bed over here, and I did it in the exact same way I did in my video where I showed you 3 different ways to grow mushrooms outside. Now, last night I harvested about a dozen or so wine cap mushrooms, and today I harvested about another dozen. And if you look closely, you can see that I left a couple of them in ground. These are going to be left to mature so that they can actually shoot their spores out back into the bed and help it propagate even further. Now, there is still mycelium in here, which is alive. You can see it in the straw. It's full of these little white threads. So technically I don't need to do that, but I'm just gonna do it anyway, especially since that one and the two in the back are past their prime anyway. They're not going to taste good. So the cool thing is though, once you harvest your mushrooms, it's not over. You can rejuvenate this bed, let it grow once again, and produce more mushrooms for years to come if you do it right. So now let's go over how to refresh these. Then maybe we'll cook some of these up here and give them a little taste test. But today's just gonna be a little bit loose. I wanna talk about mushrooms, how they're growing. Maybe we'll go take a look at the other beds as well. So without further ado, let's get the materials. So if you remember when we built this bed last time, it was built using these Douglas fir wood chips. So all I've done is I've gathered more of them from my pile there. I had them soaking in a bucket of water just to give them a little bit more moisture before we add them back into the bed. The first step to rejuvenating this bed is to take all these wet, soggy wood chips and spread them over the top of this bed. And then we're gonna move on to the next step. And we're going to do the exact same thing with straw. I'm gonna get it nice and wet so it soaks up all this moisture, and we'll go ahead and rebuild that bed. Step number 2 is we're going to get this bucket of nice wet straw and spread it evenly across the wood chips and the entire surface. The straw is going to be the quick nutrition that these mushrooms need to keep spreading, and the wood chips are gonna give it that long sustaining hunger to keep producing and actually thriving through the winter into next spring. The bed has now been refed or remulched, and it should maybe even produce one more time before spring, but I'm just happy to see that I already got production after 2 months. Now let's go take a look at some of the beds that I built in that video and see how they're doing. So here's the grow bag that I had the oyster mushrooms in. I've actually already harvested 2 or 3 times out of here, a couple good handfuls of mushroom. So what I did is I added this fresh layer of mulch just 2 days ago. But down here, let me just take a little chunk out. Oh yeah, you can see it's definitely alive and well in here. All this mycelium thread has totally taken over the straw, probably consumed most of the nutrients in there. So now the idea is that it's looking for food. I just added all this fresh food on top. So hopefully the mushroom mycelium will come through here and we'll get another flush of mushrooms poking out in, who knows, maybe even just a couple of weeks. This one's been going very quick. And right over there is the bed that we built the mushroom bed up against. And so it's right over there by the wall. I just wanted to give you context to see how much this bed has grown since we put those mushrooms in. I can't even remember if it was planted, but it is now not just planted, but actually growing, and I've been harvesting out of it for a while now. Right here is one of my broccolinis, and I actually already harvested the other plants next to it. So it's been going very, very well, but let's go ahead and take a look at the mushrooms right over here. All right, so here is the bed, and here is where the mushrooms that we put in are. Now, right here, I see something interesting. As you can see, the straw around it is all flat, but right here it's lifted. Let's take a peek. Oh my God, that is absolutely amazing. We actually do have a wine cap mushroom in here. Dang, I guess these fall rains that we just got have triggered the mushrooms to actually start growing. This is amazing. This was even faster than the other bed, because the other bed I started way before this video. So far I only see this one, but wow, that's incredible. I see another little high patch over here. Let's take a look. It's definitely something pushing it up. Okay, I don't see anything. Actually, it's a little bit dry, so I think I need to water this bed more, but that is absolutely incredible. We have one sole mushroom right now. We'll see if the rest are gonna show up very soon. I see a lot of topography across the straw here, so I wouldn't be surprised. But just goes to show you, it's very quick to get mushrooms, especially if you build the beds with what they actually like. You can see it down there. All the mycelium threads are spreading at the base of the mushroom, which is so cool to see. So there's the mushroom update. As you can see, anyone can grow mushrooms at home, whether it's in San Diego or somewhere like Maine. They're very diverse across what climates they could grow in. It's not hard, guys. You just have to try it. You have to find the right spot in your garden. But now, let's go cook up some of those wine cap mushrooms, give them a little taste test, and see if they were worth the wait. Here we are in the Hermit's Kitchen, AKA out in my garden. And we're going to just cook up these wine cap mushrooms in the most simple way I could think of, which is olive oil, salt, garlic, and pepper. Might sneak over there and grab a little bit of thyme if I'm feeling it. But let's take a look at these mushrooms now. I'm very excited to cook these up. These are my favorite treat every time they grow. I just feel ecstatic when I get these ready. So what we're going to do is just knock off these stems. They can be a little fibrous in my opinion. We could save these, actually I will, and maybe we'll make some vegetable or mushroom stock with it later tonight. That'll be a fun use of them. But for now, I'm just primarily interested in the caps. I have 2 of the big caps right here. I also want to cook up one of these small ones. I'm just going to cut that one in half because I heard that the smaller ones, or the ones that aren't as open, actually taste a little bit different. So I'm very curious to see if I could discern that difference. So all I'm going to do here is keep it very simple. I knew where those mushrooms grew. I did water them with a hose last night, so I already rinsed them off. The only thing I'm going to try to do here is get some of the straw off the surface. Cut this one in half. Check out these guys. A little bit of straw. It's not going to be fun to eat. Make sure there's no roly-polies in there. It's called the wine cap because if you actually rub your fingers on the gills here, it will stain your fingers purple. That is where that wine comes from. The other thing I wanted to mention, in case you guys are scared of growing mushrooms, the wine cap mushroom is one of those mushrooms that is actually has no other analogs. There's nothing else that looks like it in the same way. The combination of the staining fingers, this little skirt here at the base of the mushroom cap, and also the color and the distinct appearance of the wine caps makes them a very unique, identifiable mushroom, which means that you're just not going to have any chance of eating something poisonous or something toxic. Now, I can't guarantee anything. In fact, I won't, but just keep that in mind that in terms of identifying mushrooms, I've never done that before either, and this is the first mushroom, besides an oyster mushroom, which I guess is the easiest, that I've identified, but just going out in the garden and finding. So now I have this pan preheating. I'm gonna go in with some olive oil here. I'll lay my caps down. I'm gonna start on the gill side. I don't know why, it's just speaking to me that way. Ooh, already smells so good. Honestly, I've never been a big mushroom fan growing up, but over the years as I've aged, become older, actually today's my birthday, which is another fantastic celebration, is that these mushrooms came for my birthday. As I've aged though, I found that I've just come to appreciate mushrooms more. Part of it I think is that the way I was eating them younger, I just didn't like the way they were prepared. I don't like them when they're all soggy and kind of mushy. So what I like to do is saute them with pretty good heat until they caramelize, and I want them to be a little bit on the dry side by the time I'm eating them. That way they have a really nice, almost, I don't want to say jerky because it's not like jerky, but it's not like wet and goopy in your mouth. It's firm, it has a little crisp edge to it, but it's full of that super deep umami savory mushroom flavor. So once these guys get a little bit of color, I'm actually going to salt them now to help pull out some of the water. What we're going to do is add some garlic after we flip them because I don't want the garlic to burn. Now, this is the last of this strand of garlic that we grew this year. So it's also very special. I get my garden garlic with my garden mushrooms. Can't get any better than that. The mushrooms are sizzling away nicely. They smell absolutely wonderful. I've only tried them on their own just because I want to respect the flavor of the mushroom itself. But now I'm very curious to see how they pair with something like thyme. So I'm gonna go grab a sprig of that and we'll throw it in with the garlic. So here's our wonderful smelling fresh thyme. I'm ready to flip these actually. They have some color on them. So take a look at that right there. That nice color change. It got a little gold and brown. That's the sear we're looking for on every single side of the mushroom. So probably 4 or 5 minutes and we'll be ready to go. Now that I flipped those mushrooms, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of this tasty looking garlic here. And the reason I didn't put the garlic earlier is because I didn't want it to burn while these were cooking. I want to still taste that garlic without overpowering the mushrooms. So by putting it in later, you avoid it from caramelizing and burning a little bit too much at the beginning. You get a little bit more fresh garlic flavor, which I think will pair really nicely with these wine caps. One of my favorite things about cooking in the Hermit's kitchen is that I can just compost anywhere I want. Now that the mushrooms have enough color, I'm gonna go ahead and pinch some of this thyme in, throw in our garlic, some pepper, another little drizzle of olive oil just to get everything married together. Touch more salt. So take a look at that. That is the sear we're looking for. Those are the gills at the bottom of the mushroom. Here's another example. If I flip it over, you can see it comes a little bit more golden once it actually starts cooking. So the garlic has now become fragrant. And we're probably just about ready to plate this up. Definitely smells delicious in here, and I believe we're ready to go. Now again, you could cook these to whatever preference you like. I like them at this stage where they're fully caramelized, but still have a little bit of sort of give to them when you bite into them. Not the biggest amount of mushrooms here. There's the cap right there of that small mushroom that I cut in half. There's honestly no mushroom I've ever ate that tastes like this. Wow. The thyme, the black pepper, the garlic are really singing with it. It has this really savory flavor. I can't even describe it. Very wonderful texture. It's not like a fall apart in your mouth mushroom. It's not like a shiitake where it's very rubbery. Somewhere in the middle, where it just kind of melts in your mouth almost like a buttery mushroom. The depth of flavor, the savoriness, the almost like wine-like notes of that wine cap mushroom are really singing. And I think this is a wonderful, perfect pairing to enjoy these. This is by far the best little mushroom treat I've ever cooked in the garden. I hope you guys grow some wine cap mushrooms at home so you can experience this delicious experience that I'm experiencing now. But good luck in the garden. I'll see you guys next time. Definitely grow mushrooms and check out the link at the bottom if you want a discount code to get your very own spawn. Incredible.